I'm Catherine Horne from Edventure, and we're delighted to be with you today. We are going to have question and answer at the end. We hope to allow about 30 minutes for that, and so please jot your questions down. And we will be repeating your questions so that they can be taped as this session will be available for others who are not in the room. We will also be delighted to email the PowerPoint to you afterwards if you'll just give Van, who actually happens to have the PowerPoint as a total document, give him your business card at the end of the session. And I have volunteered him for that, unbeknownst to him, so he's not stabbing me right now. But we are going to try to provide some words of wisdom. As we all know, this is a challenging environment in which to operate any kind of business, but certainly the nonprofit community or the government community seems to be particularly challenged right now. And we've taken the point of view that we want to thrive, not survive in this economy. And so we're going to begin with some stories to let you know what we all are doing and the experiences we've had and maybe what we've learned from it. And then we're going to share a couple of tools for you, which may be useful to you in your business. And if Chris, oh, she's already turned it to the second slide. We obviously want to adapt and to migrate and not become extinct. And this is coming from the Natural History Museum up here, or who has part of natural history in his mission, because the world has changed around us, and we are going to thrive and survive. So we encourage you to get out of what's happening today, this week, this month, or at the next board meeting, and really think about where you want to be in the next 5 years. It's hard to put yourself in that forward momentum, but we are going to take some pages from some lessons we've learned about change management, as well as reinvention, retooling, and realignment. And so with that, I think we're going to start stories with Lisë Swensson from Hickory. So Lisë, and we have to pass the mic.
Well, again, good morning. It's interesting because I have run 4 different programs. They've all been arts programs in the last 32 and a half years. And I don't see today as a whole lot different than yesterday, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 32 and a half years ago. And I just want to throw a few things out. I've been lucky enough to be the first at 2 different places. The first is exhilarating, it's exciting, it's scary, but you're starting from nothing. And when you start from nothing, that's in some ways better than having something already there, but it also can be where you're not fixing something else. So again, in terms of philosophy, I was the first director of a little art center, and it really was because I told them they needed a director. It wasn't even because a board came or there was a job description or anything. So it's back to you have to figure out who you are, what you're about, and what you want to do with this position. I guess, first of all, I'd like to find out how many people here are directors. Raise your hand. All right. Okay. How many people are director wannabes? Raise your hand. Okay. All right. Okay. The other aspect is, and you don't have to raise your hand, but I'm assuming if you're not one or the other, you're here to maybe find out a little bit more about maybe what makes your director tick or how you can work better with your director. So I'm not here just to tell stories, and that was one thing we said. They need to be stories that are meaningful, and it's not just a show and tell. But the concept of starting something brand new, I was there for 6 years. I had a goal. What I wanted to do was to build a building that I actually thought the board was planning to do, and turns out it wasn't. But it's this constant trying to figure out why you're there, what you're there to do, thinking, and as Catherine said, 5 years, I don't think 5 years out. I usually think about 3 years out. I think about today, tomorrow, next month, next year, and that 3-year term. And it took me 6 years to get the building built that I wanted to build. And as soon as it was built, I found another job. You know, so that's the way I've worked as a director. It's been, in some ways, very strategic, and yet I have a different way of doing it. And a lot of it has to do with figuring out who also can help you get resources. Resources can be financial. And I know, you know, all of us have lost money in different ways, personally as well as in our organizations. But that cannot be the only thing you think about. You have to figure out, so, what else is going to work for me? And at the first art center that I ran, again, I was told when I took the job of administrative assistant that I was going to get $6,000. Well, when I got there, there was only $3 in the bank. Okay, so what are you going to do? And I'm not going to tell you the answers, but this is also to keep you thinking it could be worse. It could be worse, and what am I going to do? And you should be thinking about your institution while you're sitting here and writing notes about, okay, maybe I'll try this. This is an idea. Not necessarily what I did or what anybody else here did, but can we help you with your own philosophy? So anyway, yeah, $100,000, we built the building, and because we were in a recession at the time, actually I remember telling my mother, you know, well, we thought it was going to cost about $500,000 for this building, and it only cost $100,000, and she stood there and she said, you mean you made $400,000? I said, no, I didn't have to raise another $400,000. So anyway, that was a good thing because there was a recession, because I was the first person, and I also had lived in this town for a while, and I knew some of the players, so that was helpful. The next job, I ran the art program of the South Carolina State Museum. Again, the goal was to get a building open, to get a program going, to actually, I was the first, so it was to start a collection with no money. You know, it was one of those things where you get into it and you know, yes, I'm going to have a salary. At least I had a salary with that job. So I didn't have to raise my salary, but you try to figure out who are the people, who are the partners, who are the different organizations that can help you, knowing that you're starting basically with nothing. We had was a building that the governor had been given. He accepted it, and this was the 4th time the South Carolina State Museum had a master plan, and you know, it was crazy. But it was one of those things where money did not stop us, and we kept on moving and kept on moving. I was there for 12 years. The next job, I ran an organization that was 30 years old. I think that the challenge there was to try to figure out how to get the community to know we were there, how to get the board to realize that it was their job to help raise the money, and all the things that we all deal with. And it's not just board, but board, staff, community. And in the middle of that, actually I got there, I had 9 full-time people, and they told me the director had resigned, and so he would be gone. When I got there, they changed things. They said, well, you know, Jim still wants to stay here, so we want you to figure out how you can incorporate him into your master plan for staffing. And you know, you cannot be upset about it. You know, you can maybe, you know, tell yourself this is not right, but you figure it out, and you figure it out by finding out who are the people who want the same things you want, and then how can they help you.